Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning to you. Wonderful day today. Let's give charity. Do I have any charity over there? Where's my I had some money? 1 second. Where's my money? 1 second. Oh, thought I had money. So we don't have money. Okay. Here we go. I do have some money. Here we go. This is 1 second. Let me go into the coffers over here. We have today a commandment of giving charity. Let's do it here. Charity box. Oh. And may Hashem protect all of our soldiers, protect all the Jewish people. We need Moshiach desperately. We have to have a normal leader in the Jewish people. Meanwhile, Hashem is doing a great job. Okay. Here we have a speech given by the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and this is what we began yesterday, if you remember. And this is a speech which was given, let's see, yesterday's speech was in 1953, and this one is in 1952. Here we go. Ready? Okay. As we said so many times before, the goal of the world is that Moshiach should come and reveal the creator and the creation. Almost impossible thing to do. In fact, an impossible thing to do. But because God set the world up that way, and the creation of the world is also an impossible thing. No one has ever seen an example of creation of something from nothing. Nobody knows what nothing is. But the world is being created from nothing all the time, and God is taking this nothing and he's creating the world from it. So it doesn't, of course, it's above understanding, but that's the fact. And what we're supposed to do is reveal this fact, that the world is in fact a creation of God, and God is creating it all the time. To do this is a, how do you want to call it, an impossible task. But that's what the task God gave, that's the task that God gave to the Jewish people. And it really began when God gave the Torah. Abraham realized that this was the job, but the only way that everybody really could actually begin doing this job, namely revealing the creator and the creation, was when God gave the Torah. When God gave the Torah, so then all of the concealed reality of this world, the value of this world started to become revealed. And when God, before that, people knew mysteries. There were people who understood mysteries. There were great tzaddikim that understood that you can't pay attention to this world. You have to pay attention only to the upper worlds. And that's not the job. That's not the job. The job is to take all these upper worlds and reveal it in every single detail of this world. In other words, to use the world properly. And part of the world is us. Okay, so for this purpose came Kabbalah. In other words, there were Jews that always knew these secrets, but they kept it to themselves. Then when came Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, which is about 1,800 years ago, so he revealed these secrets in a big way in the book, the Zohar. And then about 450 years ago, something like that, came the Arizal, Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, and he revealed it also in a more practical way. But still, it was only for special individuals and religious individuals, people who were really. It came along the Baal Shem Tov, and the Baal Shem Tov started revealing how to use this physical world in a way that God wants, and how to use this world the way God wants, to how to have love of God and fear of God. Everybody, every single person. How God is a household term to make it usable. Right? That's really what Abraham started when he's made his hotel in the desert. It's Eshel, that he made the world call out the name of God. But we're actually, because of the teachings of Chassidut, so it's actually happening. Okay, so here we go. There's a lot of people that oppose. Now, Chassidut, by the way, is what we're learning in the morning. We learn this in Likuti Torah Or, in the morning. How to love God, how to fear God, what the Torah is, what the commandments are, what's the uniqueness of the Jewish people. Okay, but despite all this that I just told you, there's a lot of people that oppose the teachings of Chassidut. Those people call themselves misnagdim. They call themselves opposers. They oppose the way of Chassidut. It was too radical, too radical. That's what they claim. And we'll see the reasons why. Here we go. This is, like I said, a speech of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, which was in 1952. The Rebbe took over the Chabad, leading this whole movement to bring Moshiach called Chabad. He took it over in 1951. Officially took it over in 1951. As Zayin and Faran, there are some people which claim as Torah Chassidut, the teachings of Chassidut, is an Indian from Nistar. This is like the how do you say, mysteries of the Torah. Mysteries of the Torah. This is not learning, therefore we shouldn't learn it. It devaluates practical life, doing the commandments. What are you teaching the young children these ideas about the Sphirot and the upper worlds and the Tzimtzum and all this stuff? People are supposed to understand, Jews are supposed to believe in God and do the commandments, and that's it. That's what it says you're supposed to, it's a commandment, you're supposed to love God with all of your heart. So because God is good, if you don't do what God says, he'll kill you. And if you do what he says, so he'll give you good. So you love God because he's like a huge spiritual, ATM machine, or something like that. And therefore you should love God and you should fear God. And what do you need all these mysteries for, and these sphirot and these ideas about the God reacts to what we do, and the answer. So some people say that Chassidus is dealing too much with spooky stuff. It's too spiritual. It just confuses people. The answer to this is not so. At the time when God gave the Torah, men gegeben, had men gegeben, we received the whole entire Torah. Sei nigla and sei nista. Both the revealed and the hidden part of the Torah. What happened? How was the Torah given? The Torah was given by God himself. The Torah wasn't given just by Moses. Moses came out of Moses was a special person. He knew what God was and nobody else knew. No. When God gave the Torah, he gave the whole entire thing. Now, why couldn't God just reveal himself to all the Jewish people? And that's all. And then Moses would tell everybody, why did he have to also reveal himself and also give the Torah? Why give the Torah? Everybody would just know where it came from. No, when God gave the Torah, he gave it with himself. Now, God is the source of all secrets. Adarabah, Nigla from the Torah, the revealed part of the Torah, this was given, Nigla from Torah is given, done, Benista, the revealed part of the Torah was given from a concealed way. Everybody saw, where do we get the Torah from? From God, who nobody understands what it is. What is God? And everybody felt that God, who's the ultimate source of all secrets, not even a secret, it's the source of all secrets, as he gave the Torah. That's what we Jewish people claim. Vias is gavus, like it's known. Vias is gavus, like it's known, as in the Eshte Devarim, in the first two of the 10 Commandments, Zayin and Faran, Tarach Otiot, there are, in the 10 Commandments, there are 620 letters. 620 letters. What's 620 got to do with it? 620 is hinting at all the commandments. I thought there was 613. How do we get 620? There's 620 letters in the 10 Commandments, letters of words. There's a book, in fact, from Reb Sadia Gaon that he attributes every letter to a different commandment. Shows how it's connected. There's 200 and 600 and there's 613 commandments from the Torah, and there's 7 commandments from the rabbis. But there's 7 rabbinical commandments, Tabshili and etc. As Zayin and Doch, all the mitzvahs, all the commandments are together 613, nor beremez v'nistar. If so, we see that there's 620 letters. Each letter goes to a different commandment. If so, the commandments are concealed inside of the. So what was revealed first? The concealed part, the letters. The letters. Each commandment corresponds to another letter, and that's what was given. The Kegen Nistar, according to the hidden part of the Torah, is Gegem Beniglas, what was revealed. God, when he revealed himself, what did he do? He revealed the 620 commandments, but he revealed them in a concealed way. They were all concealed inside. So the concealed part came out first. I mean, even more. The first of the 10 commandments is Anochi, is I. God revealed himself first, and then afterwards he started telling the commandments. So the first thing to be revealed at Mount Sinai was the Anochi, the I. I am God, your God. Because all the Yidden, all the Jews hadn't done Gezen Ma'aseh Merkava. It says all the Jews also saw all the secrets of the upper worlds. When God revealed himself, so all the Jewish people saw everything between God and this world, all the secrets. V'es is oich angedeit, which is also stressed in the sentence in Psalms. Alfei Shinan, it says there's 10,000 as angels. Sinai, Bekodesh, in Mount Sinai, were at Mount Sinai in holiness. What is this Shinan? Shinan is the first letters of Shor, Nesher, Aryeh, and the Nun is the face of the man. It says the Shor, the four faces of the different animals on the round. It says in the vision of Ezekiel. It says he saw the throne of God. And the throne of God, it says that's supposed to be the world of Bria. And on the throne was sitting God. That's supposed to be the world of Atzilut. And around the throne were these four faces: a face of an ox, a face of an eagle, a face of a lion, and a face of a man. And on each one of these faces, there was four faces. So that's pretty spacey stuff. I mean, you don't see that every day. We're talking about all the secrets which are hidden in every single letter and every single word of the Torah. And it says that was revealed at Mount Sinai. So when we got the Torah, what do we get first? First of all, we got the secrets. When we got the Torah, the first thing to be revealed is who is giving the Torah, God. And all of the upper worlds that God creates was Ma'aseh Merkava. That's what's called the Ma'aseh Merkava, the work of the chariot. This is what's called the inside of the Torah. That was one of the speeches of the Rebbe in 1953. So in other words, the Torah is not just a religious book. Externally, of course, it is. And it's got all these laws and rituals and customs and practices and ceremonies and holidays. It's a religious book. It's called the Judaism is a religion. But that's only the outside, skimming the surface of Judaism. The whole of Judaism is God, the creator of the universe, the creator of us right now. And God is not concealed like the world. The world, the same thing here. Everything you see in the world is God. God is creating everything from nothing. Everything you see is a miracle of God. Do you feel it's a miracle? No. That's the idea of Chassidut. Chassidut is supposed to reveal the whole picture of what reality really is. And not that it devaluates the physical, it supervaluates the physical. It shows that the physical, that was the whole goal of God, was to come into the physical and reveal all of these secrets is in each and every letter, each and every stone, each and every. Okay. Velcha Zainen Menagdim, those people who oppose learning Chassidut, in general, they have two reasons. They state two reasons. Now, you have to understand, when Chassidut came into the world, as there was tremendous opposition from the religious people. And really, you can sort of trace this back. I mean, their opposition was really automatic. And then they made up the reasons afterwards. But you'll see why. And this is something like anti-Semitism in the whole world. Because people hate the Jews and they don't even know what a Jew is, right? There's always some people scream out, what do you mean Judaism is a religion? Other people say it's not a religion, it's a nationality. Some people say it's not a nationality, it's a race. It isn't, of course, it's all of those things and it's none of those things, right? The Judaism are a race. Look at a Jew from Yemen, right? He's dark as the night, and a Jew from Ukraine, he's white as snow, right? And they don't look one. They're a nationality. What type of a nationality? Like I said, the Jew that comes from Yemen, a Yemenite Jew, he's from a different part of the world. He has nothing to. It's not a religion. There's totally anti-religious Jews, non-religious Jews that'll do anything just not to be called Jews. That was basically what Zionism was to get out of this curse, which is called being Jewish. It will just be people like everybody else. So it's not religion; it's anti-religion, and nevertheless, they're Jews. They can't get away. They can't get out. They can't get away from it. So, what is Judaism? What is Judaism? So the answer is it's godliness. That's what Judaism is. Jews are God's people, human beings that specially were put into this world for a godly purpose. That's the Jews are. Just like on all these, science fiction movies, the War of the Worlds. As soon as the Martians come, everybody hates them. They all, nobody tries to make deals with them. You can't trust them anyway. The Martians. So it's the same thing with the opposition to Chassidut. What's the opposition to this learning of Chassidut? Two reasons. Number one, it's so important to learn these ideas of Chassidut. For was is the freer nit given? Why wasn't it here before? When Oib men had gekent, Oiskumen, Azoi feel yearn, if we could succeed so many years without Chassidut. I mean, how old is Judaism, right? Let's say for our purposes, Judaism began when the Jews got out of Egypt. I mean, actually, of course, it began with Abraham, because how did they know who Jews were? The Jewish identity began with Abraham, and God told Abraham he was going to go into Egypt. So that was about 500 years before they went into Egypt, before they got out of Egypt. So let's say Judaism began when the Jews got out of Egypt, right? That was 3,300 years ago, 3,328 years ago. So the Jews got out of Egypt, right? 3,328 years ago, the Jews got out of Egypt. How old is Chassidut? Let's say 300 years old. That's when the Baal Shem Tov was, about 300 years ago. So Chassidut, the world, Judaism, got along okay for 3,000 years. I mean, of course, there have been ups and downs and destructions of temples and etc. But nevertheless, Judaism has survived 3,000 years without Chassidut. Chassidut, all of a sudden comes Chassidut, we're going to save the world. This, if we got along 3,000 years without it, is a simon. This is a sign. Is nitkain. It's not noitika limud. It's not necessary. What are you stressing this thing with learning Chassidut and a big movement and Chabad with books, and trying to spread these ideas around like it's something that everybody has to have? You don't have to have it, right? You can get along without it, right? Reason number one. Reason number two is Zazoy limud. This is a type of learning was bring to Mavatal Dain Metzias Geshem Yesh. You're putting too much emphasis on the spiritual worlds, and it makes a person removed from the physical. Und Bittel is doch an inyan from Shlilas Haheder. You're negating the physical world. And negating the physical world is a bad thing. Eventually people will say, well, I don't want to do commandments. I just want to be spiritual. I want. These were the two main claims of religious Jews against learning Chassidut. And because of these reasons, they've actually slandered the first Rebbe of Chabad, the Alter Rebbe, the one who gave wrote the Tanya, and he was put into prison and he was almost sentenced to death, right? And they were happy and they were very sad when he got out, because they genuinely thought that Chassidut was overrated. First of all, it's not really necessary, and number two, that it's destructive. It's a thing that's going to ruin the world. Here's the first Rebbe of Chabad. Okay. The tshuva of them is, the answer on this is like this. The tshuva is like this. Estate in Shmona Prakim. It says in what's called the 8 chapters of the Rambam, Maimonides. These are the 8 chapters which are the introduction to one chapter of Sanhedrin, of the Gemara Sanhedrin. As a zoivi is Zainen Faran Krankheit, just as there is disease in refuah and a healing and a healing for that disease, physical. As zoizain oich faran, there's also krankheit, there's also diseases un refuah and a medicine to cure, a cure in the soul. From them is verstandig, so for this is understood as from a sachin many things, vazainen becholi, which exist in sickness and cure of the body, can and we can also learn from the sickness of the soul. Now, just one thing I want to say, Chabad Chassidut especially stresses that basically it's impossible for a Jew to really do a sin. Jews cannot go against the Torah. I mean, nowadays in our generation where Jews just don't know, I mean, there's just total ignorance. And, ignorance is being supported. So it's a little bit different here. I mean, for sure, the Jews are not guilty if they don't keep Shabbos or if they eat not kosher food or whatever, because they just don't know. They just don't. I mean, they heard it from some rabbi or something, but what does it got to do with anything? So let the rabbis do it. But even a Jew that knows all the commandments, he knows all. He's a religious, totally religious Jew. He knows all the commandments. He's a teacher, and he does sins. Like that's what it was basically up to now. I mean, up to about 300 years ago, there was no such thing as an ignorant Jew. 300 to 350 years ago, all the Jews knew what Judaism was. There were some Jews that were not learned, that didn't know how to learn from the books and didn't know of this, but every Jew believed in God. There was no such thing as a Jew that didn't believe in God, unless he made a concerted effort, to go against. There were little periods, like when the Greeks were there, the time of Greeks, that the Jews were, they were enamored. But even then, the Jews believed in God. They believed in God. Nevertheless, let's take a person who's totally religious. He knows what's wrong, and he does sins anyway. You cannot say that he's totally guilty. Why? We say, at least in Chassidut teaches, that person is sick. He's crazy. He's crazy. He went temporarily insane. A Jew can, just like a normal person does not cut off his arm. A person doesn't cut off his arm. You find people that do cut off their arm somewhere, who knows? Right? So the guy is not normal. He went crazy. Same thing, a Jew that would cut himself off from God, it's not normal. But he went crazy. He went crazy. He thinks that he's not joined anyway or whatever. Okay, so what we're saying is that a Jew doing a sin is because he's sick. He, she. It's because they're sick. Or like I said before, it's because they're ignorant. They don't know. They just don't know any different. But, nowadays it's pretty, it's starting to be more and more educated. People are starting to become more and more educated what genuine Judaism is. What genuine Judaism is. They're more and more educated. Nevertheless, even those people, Reform rabbis, conservative rabbis, whatever, that they know what the laws are and they know everything and they go against, it's because they're temporarily sick. And even though that they'll say, who are you to tell me that I'm sick? That's a fact. Says the Rebbe, a normal Jew will never want to do anything against God. A normal Jew, or against the rabbis, or against anything. You can make up whatever you want to. They know that the rabbis are, what the rabbis say is the word of God, and therefore they'll never want to go against what it says in the Shulchan Aruch and the Torah. Never. It's impossible. The Jew cannot do it. Right? Just like a normal person will never cut off his finger. You just won't do it. Unless there's like the person is sick or like really extenuating circumstances, right? They say cut off your arm or we'll kill you or something like that. Okay, so in the body there are diseases, in the soul there are also diseases. In allgemein, in general, meint a krankheit, a sickness means, God forbid, as is felt that something is lacking. Oh, as is kalia, or it's a malfunction. A gevesatile, certain part of the body, right? The heart doesn't work, something doesn't work. Es is da aber, but there is a disease, was is felt garnish, which nothing is lacking in the body. Adarab, exactly the opposite. Es is gor zugekommen, there's something added to the body. A stale flesh, a piece of meat, a growth. We're talking about a growth. Is in plug vemen ort. How do you say? At first glance, vemen ort. How can it possibly be that if there's more to a person, something added on, a growth. As felt garnished, nothing is missing from the person's body. Exactly. Nothing is the whole body is there like it's supposed to be. What can be wrong if there's a growth for this vegan? Nevertheless, vegan Zetman, from this vegan, nevertheless, Zetman we see doch as das is a krankheit, it's a disease. They don't like to say this disease. Excuse me, religious people don't even like to say the disease because it wakes up this power. It's like you're not supposed to say like demons, things like that. You're not supposed to say the word because it wakes up this power, the disease. But I think you know which disease we're talking about, right? So it's a disease where the whole thing is there's a growth, there's a tumor. And the tumor is an additional thing to the body, it grows. So he says, how can it be if you add something onto the body, you're growing? How can it possibly be? Like you put more money in your bank account, that's a disease, that's bad. That's good. You have more in your body. It's a good thing, a growth. What's wrong with that? Says the Rebbe, Adarabba, Amol, Rahman Litzlan, sometimes this disease is the worst so bad that there's an extra portion to the body, as is does not a grester krankheit. This can be the worst disease, vivet as felt, that if there was lacking something from the body. Business is a zor because there is starka cholet, such a disease as man will das afilu mit namen nit angrufen. You don't want to say the name. Some people say the big C. Big C. They don't want to call it a malign tumor. But a person has a tumor. Wait, what disease is it? They don't want to say the name of the disease. They call it the disease. Hamachala. Yeshlo tamachala. That's what they say. He has the disease. God forbid. Now, this is a disease which is taking a lot of lives. The zugewachsene Stickel, this added portion, this tumor, this growth of meat or whatever, is schädlich for them art. This destroys the place, wherever it is. Und sie kann sich euch verspreiten, and it can also spread out further in the body. Azoivi the krankheit, just like the disease is underish from under the krankheit, just as the disease, this disease that we're talking about, the big C, is different from other diseases, because all diseases usually there's something in the body that's wrecked up, something that's malfunctioning. And here nothing is malfunctioning, it's just a growth that grows, and that causes an interruption in life. Azoi oich the refuah. So just as the disease is unusual because there's something added, is also the healing has to be su'ir is andros has to be different from all the other healings from other diseases. All the refuahs, all the other diseases, gitmen su is something is addition added to the person. A shot, there was something. The kegen, the refuah, which is not the case in this case of this disease, is to steren them Aberiker tail. You have to destroy the extra thing. It's not to fix up some sort of a hole or whatever. It's not to fix up a limb that doesn't work. It's to get rid of that extra tumor, to get rid of that extra malignant growth, to take something away. Und durch them, by means of this, the person will become truly healthy. The refuah, the health is dazika krankheit, and this disease, God forbid, hat men oisgefunden, they found in ganzen mitfar doros zurich, a poor doros zurich. They found the cure for this disease a few generations, years, whatever, before. Radiation was discovered before this disease became a big disease. Und die wegen Pratius wie azoi zu nutzen, and the details how to use this X-rays is the refuah hat men ausgefunden, they found later on. Und man hat noch in mitten hold noch in mitten Forschung. And the Rebbe says we're still opening this, developing this up. That was what is Madame Curie, I think, she and her husband, whatever, they discovered that there was radiation. They discovered X-rays. They didn't know what to do with it, but they knew that there was such a thing. And how exactly to direct this and how that it could be used to destroy the malignant tumors and things like that without cutting a person open. So that was developed later. And the Rebbe said they're still working on it. This was in 1953 what the Rebbe spoke. Okay, right, so there we go. Now, remember what we're talking about. We're talking about what is the necessity of learning Chassidut. Says the Rebbe, selbstverständlich, so it goes without saying. Selbstverständlich, it goes without saying, as b'shas einer vet sich nit wellen nutzen, if your person did not want to use this, because a person will say, the doctor says to the person, my friend, you have a malignant tumor. What's the cure? The cure is radiation treatment. A person might say, no, I'm not going to use that. Why? Because refuah is an inyan from farbreitiken, because healing is making something stronger in the body. And then mitzius the body. I have something wrong. A person has something wrong with his leg, so you fix the leg. You think that something is bad, so you add something to fix it up. Unitsu first, now you're telling me you're going to use this radiation to take something away? That's exactly the opposite of making a person healthy. A person is made healthy by adding something, by fixing up the sick part. And now you're telling me there's no sick part. All there is an extra growth, and you're going to take it away. An extra growth is a good thing. There's more me. There's more to me. My body is bigger. And you want to take it away? That's what's going to cure me? I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to use any cure like that. Vipal, and another reason for not using this radiation, you might think, is Vipal, because the Doras, no Doras, because there was generations after generations, they didn't use radiation treatment. Is Wieler Zich, Nitsua Aaron, I'm not going to listen to this new doctor, this new healing, was saying with his new cures. There is some Shapuznik, he's just like a shoemaker, right? A person has something wrong with his eyes. You don't go to a shoemaker and say, well, how can I fix my eyes up? The doctor doesn't know what he's talking about. If the doctor is going to use this new healing that's never been there before, he's all of a sudden using a new thing that's going to take away part of my body. I'm going to find another doctor. Und vet sich führen, wie es hat geführt. I want to do what we've done up to now. Give me vitamin C, give me penicillin, something like that. As far as state does, everyone can understand that this is it's not a valid claim. That's a valid claim not to use the radiation treatment in this terrible disease because it takes away something, and also because it hasn't been here. When did they developed this thing just a few years ago? People have gotten along without it for so long. Why am I going to use it? Of course, anyone will understand that this is a new disease. You have to have a new type of a treatment. Well, das is men darf verstärken. You have to start strengthen. In normal diseases, you have to strengthen and verbreiten and increase in the health of a person, the healthy part of the body. Yes, aber nicht dem zugewachsene Teil. Just ignore this extra part. Weil gehört nicht zu dem Guf, because it's not really part of the body. Und Adrab, exactly the opposite. This is mazik, the extra thing, this extra growth, the tumor, and this is extra, it's an additional thing, but it's detrimental to the body. Muzman ois zuster, and therefore you have to stop it. A mull is a krankheit, a person this had disease, a nitgeven, and as often was not such a way, und oft wie heint. This disease of the big C, it didn't exist in such a big way as now. Hat men nit gesucht, also stark. We didn't look so desperately for a cure. Und the main thing is, milamaila hat men nit mazmin gemen, the refuah, therefore there was no cure for this. God didn't provide a cure. The kegen, but which is not the case now. Lately, as the machla, this disease, as far merit given, it is increased, God forbid, is a Kodesh Baruch Hu. So God, therefore, He provided the healing, un had mazmin, and He brought the cure for this beforehand. Okay, just as the Rebbe said before, everything there is in the physical world, all in Yanim and Gashmias, Nemenzich from Zain Shorish, comes from a source which is an Endlicha, a similar source in Ruchtius, in the spiritual. Azoi Oich, the Machla, also the disease and the cure that we talked about before, this disease, this malignant tumors, right? The disease and the cure, which is radiation treatment, this also is in spiritual. Was is give kuman, which has come just only the last generations. Is this mitzad sein ähnlichkeit, because it's similar to spiritual. The reason that this disease has popped up so much now is because spiritually this disease also is popping up now. What does that mean? Was is gekumen b'doros acharonim. Only in the last generations is there such a thing. Es is doch, now we are in the heels of the Moshiach. Immediately there's going to be Kate Som the Choshev. God is going to put an end to all the darkness. The Mela, so therefore we have to strengthen and for merit klippas amalek. So therefore, whenever there's increase in good, there's also an increase in bad. What's the bad that's increased now spiritually? Chutzpah and yeshus, egotism. On a time without any reason, on a farvos with no logic behind it. Amal is oich geven, gaiva and yeshus. There always was such a thing as egotism and selfishness and what do you call it, chutzpah, brazenness. As a zaber nit geven azoi far grubbed. It wasn't so thick like now. Like I said before, up to 300, 200 years ago, every Jew believed in God. They all believed in God. They would never make a movement against God. There were movements which reinterpreted the Torah, that tried to, but God, for sure, God existed. Everybody knew God existed. Right? And now all of a sudden, it stood up, just in the last 200 years, whatever, the Enlightenment movement, right? All these people saying that you don't need Judaism at all. You can be a good Jew without Torah, without commandments. Right? Or you don't even forget about Judaism. You don't have to be a Jew. Don't be a Jew. You'll be a Zionist. Right? You'll be an intellectual. We'll shake off this Judaism thing. We don't need God. We don't need the Torah. We don't need the commandments. Here, look, we're succeeding. Make a whole big movement. Reform Judaism. Conservative Judaism. Right? It's an open war against the Torah, an open war, and they're proud of it. They're proud of it, and they have big names of it, and we say we're Jews like everybody else. It's a new type of a disease in Judaism that's adding something on. What's the adding thing on? Egotism. I don't have to believe in God. I believe in myself. Humanism, they call it. Well, from them and from this, as Oiske came out, also in physical world, this existence, this fact, was hat in sich nit kein shum tam for was. This crazy disease that there's no logic behind it. The metzius nemtsu kochos, it takes power from the body. Azoi vider iker metzius, just like the person's body beforehand. Here we have an extra part of a person's body. All of a sudden it grows, a big growth, and you figure, okay, that's me. It's not you. It just takes away energy from you. But it's me. It adds something on. Hot der Eibishter God had maktin gewen the refuah. Therefore, before this disease came, this disease of egotism, brazenness, this disease, that's the disease which is now affecting the Jewish people. This is the tumor which is on Judaism, right? False egotism, as God provided a cure beforehand. And that's the whole thing of Chassidut. Chassidut brings about a Zusterung. This is a prevention unafar Vistung in their crank. It lessens, makes smaller the diseased part of the person. It takes away egotism. Simply meaning, what does it mean? It takes away egotism. it replaces truth with egotism. When a person understands that he's a creation of God, so therefore it's a little bit more difficult for a person to get angry or to follow his lusts, or you can do it, but it's a little bit more difficult. It's a little bit more difficult to deny the commandments and to say that the main thing is that you have to be, a human being and intelligent and things like that. Those things are good, but the main thing is supposed to be godliness. It can't be in place of Judaism. So Selbstverständlich, it goes without saying, as in ein Prat, that in one detail, it's not similar. The example that we're using, that Chassidut is like X-rays to false egotism, and therefore, the Chassidut was therefore developed before this false egotism, what was called the Enlightenment movement in Judaism started. Of course, there's one detail that the whole metaphor falls apart. In the mashal, in the example we gave, if you give too much radiation treatment, as can thus poilen a hirus, it can destroy also the good, the healthy part of the body. The kegen, which is not the case in Chassidut. In Chassidut, in Ruchti, spiritually, as Ken Men Halten, in Ein learning Torah, we can learn Chassidut, even if you're as much as you want to. Weiter learning, more and more learning. And as Velt Polen, this brings a hirus, it can bring a destruction, a lessening in the part of Gaiva V'yeshus, of unnecessary egotism. Is in gesund Teil vet them arav, exactly the opposite. Given a chizuk und tosvus koach, it'll give an extra power. V'yeshtei, like it says in Torah, is oz v'toshia. Torah is strength and how do you say the power? It's power, strength, and there's a better word for it. Let me think of a better good for it. Strength and maybe say strength and saving. It saves us from our animal soul, and it gives power to the godly soul. Okay, what are we talking about over here? Human beings have free choice. You can learn Torah, you can learn Chassidut, you can learn this, and you still have free choice, and you can do whatever you want to, and you can go against God. You can do anything that you want, right? do anything. But the teachings of Chassidut open up a new option in a person, and it opens up a new sense in a person's soul, that a person feels that God is an understandable and practical, how do you say, that intimate part of our lives. God is not just a spiritual religious thing. I mean, if you want it to be, it can be, but that's not the main thing. Chassidut comes to teach us that God creates us. He loves us. He's involved. He reacts to what we do. He cares about us. He's involved in every fiber, not in the way we might think, but nevertheless, that's the way things are. And God also empowers us to see the truth, that he's creating us and that God loves us and that he provides for us. So we don't have to worry so much. We have to work, but we don't have to worry about where to make money from, and we don't have to cheat. God will provide. You have to do your part. God will do his part. We have to do the actions, and God will provide what's necessary for us. He might not give us what we want, but he'll give us what we need. Maybe you want a new Ferrari or a Bugatti or whatever it is to impress your friends, and you don't get one. You don't get one, or you get one and it gets stolen, whatever it is. So you figure, what type of a God is this? Here, I'm a religious person. I do Torah. It could be you didn't need that Ferrari. It could be you didn't, that it was bad for you. But the point is that most things that people want and that the desire, and that's why they leave Judaism for these things, those things are not really necessary things. And could be those things are even harmful things, right? Harmful things. A person wants to marry a non-Jewish woman. A woman wants to marry a non-Jewish man. So you go to a reform rabbi and he permits it. Why does he permit it? Because they want it, but it's not good. You've left the Torah. You've left God. What do you have in place? Myself. That's the tumor. It comes in the place of the truth. And so what do you get as a result? What you want, right? What the tumor wants. That's what it wants. But it's not good for you, right? I want to work on Shabbos. Therefore, I'm going to work on Shabbos. But it ends up that money doesn't go to any good place. it ends up that you don't get any really satisfaction from the money, right? Like all these people in Hollywood and the rock and roll stars, they make millions and they have millions. What do? It's crazy, stupid parties with drugs, with things like that. And what do their lives are just empty, meaningless, but they got a big bank account. It's all their egotism just is like a dog chasing its tail. Says the Rebbe, the idea of Chassidut is to make God understandable, to make God practical, to put God into your heart. That you, instead of having only this world to love and to fear, you also, in addition to that, all of a sudden there's another option. I can love and fear the creator of the world. And the creator of the world wants that I should be in the world. But that you have to learn the teachings of Chassidut. The main things the teachings of Chassidut do is they connect you to the Rebbe. They put the ideas of the Rebbe in your mind. And the Rebbe is like Moses, is a different type of human being. Different type of human being. Without Moses, the Jewish people would have only followed their egos. They would have never left Egypt. They would have returned to Egypt. They wouldn't have received the Torah. They wouldn't have gotten the land of Israel. One of the things that we have in Judaism would have been without Moses. Moses was the voice, the inner voice telling what the truth is. That's what Chassidut is. Chassidut is the teachings of the Moses of every generation. It attaches you to the truth and the power and the courage and the love and the awe and the awareness of Moses, of, in this case, the Rebbe. So that we have the how do you say, the positivity to actually change the world, to not take the world at face value, and to change the world, not to pay so much attention to our ego, and to, yes, pay attention to what the truth is, what God really wants. That's the ideas of Chassidut. And that was received at Mount Sinai. And it was only really utilized now, because now we have the generation of Moshiach. In the generation of Moshiach, there's going to be a lot of opposition. That's the way God created the world. Whatever there is good, there's always bad. Adam was created just a couple of hours after he was created, ate from the tree. Why? Because not eating from the tree was such an important thing that there was a tremendous opposition to that. The same thing when the Jews got the Torah. They got the Torah 40 days later, they worshiped the golden calf. How could they do that? How could they do it? Because it was so important for them not to worship idols that the desire to do so was intense. Now, says the Rebbe, our generation is not facing the serpent in the form of, eating the apple or in the face of a golden calf, whatever. Jews are not so tempted to change the religion and become, go to the church or whatever it is. It's a terrible disease, a terrible thing, but that's not the big problem in Judaism now. The big problem in Judaism now is egotism. I am going to do what I want. Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to do. I'm going to do what I want. I don't need this Judaism stuff. Right? That's the problem. Says the Rebbe, what's the cure to it? The cure is the teaching of Chassidut. Chassidut teaches you what God is. God, that's the essence of the Jewish people, is God. We're the sons of God, we're the servants of God, we're the wife of God, we're the soldiers of God, we're the advertisers of God, we're the partners of God. As is explained in the book, the Song of Songs by King Solomon. Okay, good, rabbis. That's the purpose of Chassidut. That's why we're learning it in the morning. That's why it's so tremendously important what we're learning. And even if a little bit of it goes in, who knows what big part of the Jewish people it's saving. And the Jewish people, of course, are the conscience and the heart of the world. If they get it right, then there's a chance the whole world will get it right. And for sure they will. That's why we need Moshiach, who is the Rebbe of Lubavitcher, to teach us these ideas in a way that'll be really realistic. The Jewish people will really return to their senses, and the third temple will be built, and all the Jews will come back to Israel with Moshiach now. Let us now learn the Yom Yom.